Hello everyone, welcome back to Bits and Bob's Divination. My name is Caitlin and today we are going to be diving in to see what energy, insights, and guidance we can gather up for your next 2 weeks. So let's go ahead and dive right on in. Alright, so welcome back, my beautiful kindred spirits, and anyone new who is joining in here for the first time for these Monday readings. It's wonderful to have you guys back for another chill hangout session with me while we check out the energies coming in for the next 2 weeks for you. I love doing these ones. It's a fun little check-in, and I've been really loving the rune messages that I've been doing lately, so I've brought the runes back in here today. Let me know if you guys have been enjoying the runes down below. And feel free to like this video if you guys are excited. But we're going to go ahead and look at these piles. But before we do, I do want to say welcome to anyone who is new. If you are interested in more of what I do on this channel, I use charms, watercolor affirmations, all sorts of different oracle and tarot cards, and even runes to bring these messages to you for career, your own transformational growth, for your spiritual and magical gifts and abilities, what makes you most attractive, love readings, and so much more. So you can feel free to have a little dabble around and see what it's all about if that's something that interests you, or the beautiful community that we have here as well. It's small but absolutely gorgeous, and I love you guys. Seriously, you guys check in with me in the comments all the time, and I love hearing what you guys have to say about these readings and how I can bring them to a more elevated light for you all. So it's great connecting with you all. So if you want to join in on this community and this space, then feel free to subscribe. But we are going to go ahead and dive into these piles. So as I said, I decided to use different runes here for your reading today, as well as a different stone associated with each of them. So here we are with for the very first pile with red Jasper here. It's got these beautiful little smoky ribbons. And then for your rune, we have Nauthiz. It is kind of like a T, but slightly different. So that is your rune and stone. For pile number 2 here, we have yellow Aventurine, and then we also have the Sowilo. It kind of looks like a little lightning bolt as well. So this is your rune and crystal for pile number 2. And then lastly here for pile number 3, we have this piece of green Aventurine, as well as the rune of the elk, or also known as the tree, with Algiz. So this is pile number 3. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and take a deep breath together here in a moment so you can really gather your thoughts and your intuition and see which one is really calling to you, or could even be multiple piles. So let's go ahead and take that deep breath together here now. As always, there's no right or wrong way to choose your pile. You can choose 1 pile, 2 piles, all 3 piles. You can choose a pile, flip-flop, change your mind, do whatever really your intuition is calling to you to do, and play around. There's really no right or wrong way to do this. You can also use the timestamps down below in the description, as well as provided within the chapter marks of the video, so you can find your specific pile or piles. And lastly, in the description as well, you can check out my Instagram community too. I'm on there absolutely all the time. I love communicating with you guys. I have a lot of wonderful kindred spirits there that I look out for all the time. You guys look out for me. We send things to each other all the time. It's a really wonderful, buzzing, very fun community there. So if you want to join in on the fun there and see the behind the scenes, as well as the other things that I'm up to with the snail mail readings that I provide for private readings, as well as other fun offerings with magical paper and sigils, then definitely check that all out in the description below. But with all of that said, we're going to go ahead and get started with pile number 1. Hello group 1, if you've decided to choose this piece of red Jasper as well as this rune of Nauthiz, then this is the pile for you. I'm going to set these both down for you so you can see them during your reading today. Feel free to get settled, grab some tea, some water, a cozy blanket. As always, just chill out here with me. But I do want to show you guys, before I talk about all the tools we'll be using today and get started on your reading, I want to talk about the specific rune that I chose for your pile. So this is some more information on it. Feel free to pause if you would like to, but basically I always think of Nauthiz as needs. It's a necessity. It's something that you need very badly, or it's very like a resourceful thing that you need. You have to cross a road to get to. You have to cross something that is difficult, cross a path that is possibly difficult, or you have to be brave enough to cross that road, cross something that is, difficult in your mind and for you. So I just wanted to let you know what that is. It also can be like a breakthrough as well. So take it how it resonates with the rest of the cards here today, but I did want to give you a little bit of information on the rune you chose. But we are going to be using the charms, the watercolor affirmations. We're also going to be using 2 different oracle decks, which will be in the description down below, as well as the Cosmic Slumber Tarot. So like I said, feel free to get settled and send your energy in on through, because we're going to be looking into the next 2 weeks and what's coming in for you, group 1. What do you have coming in for the next 2 weeks? All right, so the first thing that we have here flipping up on the top of this little pile is the Ace of Swords. Definitely see that with Nauthiz already, with the needs, this crossroads. You have to cross a path that is difficult, that is a little bit more like there's all this, what I see with this Ace of Swords specifically in this deck, and I love how each of the aces are done, is it's got all these clouds. It's got so much that you have to take into account when it comes to a new beginning. Sometimes new beginnings don't always happen or arrive when we are expecting them, but we have to make do with what we have in that moment. So I'm going to see what else comes in for you with this new beginning of the Ace of Swords. It usually represents something new on a mental plane, a breakthrough like I was talking about. All right, so we also have the Queen of Cups. This can talk about feeling slightly selfless, or that I'm definitely feeling this like empty cup here, but almost more so like she's gazing into it for that very, very last drop just to see what there is. So we're going to see more. Group 1, what do they have coming in for the highest energies of the next 2 weeks, and things to really consider and think about within these next 2 weeks for their highest and greatest good? So group 1. All right, so we also have the Prince of Swords. You have 2 different court cards coming in, so there could be more people involved. These could be yourself, 2 different versions of yourself, people that could be helping within this new beginning, but they do represent people possibly, whether as yourself or someone else. So definitely see how that resonates as the reading continues to go on, if you're this Queen of Cups or this Prince of Swords. But I do think it's interesting that you have the Ace of Swords and then this other figure here with a sword as well. It makes me think of like foreshadowing of how you might be using this new beginning. So let's go ahead and look at your next message with the Sea Melodies deck. Was really feeling called to this one for whatever reason today, so let's see what comes through for you. Group, here it is. 1. So we have Prudence. Don't be lured by the siren song. Interesting. I really did kind of see that, like someone might be trying to lure you towards a beginning maybe you're not ready for, or trying to persuade you. And sometimes it's nice to be persuaded. Sometimes it's not always a bad thing, but definitely trust your gut when it comes to this coming next 2 weeks, because this Prince of Swords is looking slightly mischievous. I don't know if you can tell, but it kind of feels like they're just, like I said, they're gazing into this cup, which is making me think that you guys are possibly being persuaded to have someone take a little bit more than they need to be. So let's see your next message here. Next 2 weeks, group 1. Next 2 weeks, what do we need to know for the next 2 weeks? Group 1. So we have slow down, stop. The pace must abate before it's too late. That one always makes me think of like some sort of Alice in Wonderland kind of vibe with the way that the pacing of that wording is. But there you are with slow down, calming down, chilling out a little bit more. So There's definitely a narrative that's starting to come up here, and I just want to get our final message before I speak fully on it. But we do have the charm casting happening later on, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, let's go ahead and see your affirmation. You can feel free to use these affirmations too as just a way to empower you for the next 2 weeks, see what comes in, but it's also an oracle message as well. So group one. Ooh, look for the signs, that gut feeling again. Look for the signs, not only signs from the universe, because sometimes I always see this as like signs from your angels, from your ancestors, from, God, goddesses, all that kind of stuff. But in this case, it's making me think of like looking for your own personal signs. Like, are you sweating around this person? Do you feel nervous, fluttery? Do you feel like what does your actual physical body response have towards the situations that occur within these next 2 weeks, especially when it's around someone trying to persuade you and within social conversations that you're having. So definitely listen to your gut, and not just like on a mental level, but on a physical level, your emotional level. Do you just feel like this is an icky situation? Then it probably is. So definitely look for those signs within these next 2 weeks. All right, so let's go ahead and start diving in here at group one. So right at the bat, like we had that Ace of Swords come in, which reminded me of the needs that we had, the necessity. So with the Ace of Swords, right here at the heart of your reading, the great thing about the Ace of Swords is it does represent a new beginning or an opportunity for a new beginning. Whether we take it or not is always up to us, and as are all the cards really, but with the Ace of Swords, especially with this one, like I said, there's all this kind of chaotic energy happening all around them, kind of like I was thinking with the needs. Whenever I see this specific rune, it makes me think of having to cross a road. And in this case, you're having to cross like this really chaotic, busy road, busy full of, in terms of the swords, it represents busy with communications. There's a lot of talk. These clouds are representing conversations. There's lots of talk, lots of people in your ear, lots of people having all these thoughts and opinions about this new beginning that you want to create. And it can create kind of a toxic environment, or an environment in which you don't feel as supported. There are people here who do seem like they want to support you, want to give into this idea that you have, and are very dreamy with that queen. But it also, I felt like, represented you. So in this case, we have you looking into this cup, peering into this cup and being like, wow, look at all these beautiful dreams, all these wonderful things I want to bring to reality, or that you feel like there's a necessity to start bringing them forward. Maybe it's not always in a dreamy sense or a fantasy sense, but maybe there's a necessity that you just really need to go after this, get that new job, get that new thing, try out that new hobby because it feels necessary for your health, for your healing, for your emotions. So that is being presented here, that you're ready to go after that. You have so much focus and drive for it. But as we see here, we also have another figure present. We have the Prince of Swords here, and it's a very different vibe between these two. So, and the reason why I even thought too with this figure, you see there's this tiny little figure here chilling on the sword. And like I said, it's like someone's whispering in your ear. I feel like they're like right there whispering in your ear, telling you what you should do with this sword. And it's, like I said, telling you not to be lured by this figure, by this person. This could be an actual physical person in your life, or it could just be your own thoughts kind of working against you. But there is doubt, and there is almost like a competitive nature that I'm getting from this figure with the Prince of Swords. They seem like they have an idea in mind. They have a personal narrative of what they want you to do, because they're going to gain something from it. They're going to gain something in return. And if it's yourself, then I just feel like, you're working against yourself. We all have those doubts that are just like whispering in our ear saying, no, you can't do that, or no, it's not going to turn out, or whatever it is. There is that present, but you're being told not to be lured by this person. They could be slightly more aggressive. They definitely are a good conversationalist. There's somebody who really knows their way about words and how to sort of persuade, manipulate the situation, make it seem like they're doing it for you, but really they're doing it for themselves. And we even have like this new moon energy too, which shows that they're not showing their full picture. They're only showing one half or just one side of them, but it's not illuminated. Where over here you can see that she's got the sun, so she's really illuminated. So again, I really feel like this is you and this is someone else or your own thoughts or a situation that is crossing you, that is telling you otherwise, and it's crossing your path, being able to have this new beginning. But the advice that you're getting for this situation, now that it's been presented, is to not listen to the siren song. There's going to be someone who's going to be, like I said, whispering in your ear or your own personal thoughts, so don't listen to them, and definitely listen to the signs and signals that your own personal intuition is saying. Not necessarily your anxiety, not necessarily other sides of like your mental level. This is subconscious. This is like a gut feeling. You cannot miss it. Like, it's very important. So it's saying also to slow down. So during this week before this, or these next 2 weeks within this new beginning, slow down, really evaluate the situation, make sure that you're not misstepping anything, walking past something that is going to be part of that song, right? So really listen, be present in the situation and mindful of every step that you're making towards this goal, because there could be that, like if you're going to be like, if we use this as that crossing kind of analogy of having to cross a road full of like busy people, it's really important that you have to like look both ways. So in this case, your intuition is you looking both ways. Look for the signs, look for the signals telling you to go one way or the other, or to make sure to walk, carefully, or past that puddle, around that person, around that car coming towards you. So definitely look for signs and listen to your gut. This week, it's very important. So work on your intuition. Make sure to connect with yourself and your guides if that's something that you think will help within these signs. And if you know who this is, then just maybe these next 2 weeks, stay clear of them, or just don't let them get into your head. Because whatever path you are trying to head on is a necessity. It is something that is very important to you, or is something that is going to benefit you or transform you in the long run, for the positive. So with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and move to your charms, see what else is coming in on the smaller details, like what else is coming in and just in general for the next 2 weeks as well. Maybe not the top biggest energies, but other things to look out for. So group one. Okay. Okay, so we do have the monster charm. This one hardly ever comes up. Seriously, I hardly ever have this one come up in my reading. So definitely having 2 tabs showing up here is someone's got their tab on you. They are keeping tabs on the things that you are doing and trying to benefit from them, or just they're hovering, could also be what's happening, these hovering thoughts. So we also have the numbers 6 and 7. So if you're looking for anything having to do with 76 or 67, or even this could be a 9 for some of you, that's also coming in. And as I continue to go through these, I'll go ahead and zoom you in so you can actually see what I'm doing here. We do have guides showing up here, but it's upside down. So this is just again telling me that, especially next to the courage charm of Aries, and it could be that you are an Aries or this other person is an Aries, and see how that lines up for you. But we do have courage showing up here right next to your guides being upside down, which tells me that they are, not that they're not looking out for you, but I almost feel like this is something that, like I said, is going to come to you very personally, these signals and signs. It's going to be within your emotions, within the way that you move through your body. Though, like, if you feel like you're going to throw up, then definitely move away from this person, move away from that type of energy, change and shift your mindset in the ways that you can, because they are looking out for you. But this is a time to be courageous and brave when crossing that road. But also here in the center, when we hit your focus for the next 2 weeks, we do have the solar plexus showing up here. And this is a high energy center right above your belly button. It represents our ego, our drive. It's like our sun center. But the other thing it does represent, and a lot of people think the third eye is our intuition, but really our gut, right? Like our literal physical gut is where this is located on our body. That is that energy center of like, oh, like you're just like, ooh, okay, I need to stay away from this. So again, that's showing up highly. Definitely listen to your intuition this next 2 weeks. I think it's going to really benefit you. Because like I said, there's someone keeping tabs on you, because we do have the monster charm. This can represent our fears, our anxieties, but it also can just represent people in our life that are kind of catty, petty, or just trying to manipulate a situation to get what they want, right? They're like that not necessarily this person is evil, but they just really are like that fictional evil character where they're using and manipulating a situation for their benefit. Some of the other charms you have here, though, is a little bit of nostalgia coming up this next 2 weeks. So this idea of being more nostalgic, allowing yourself to dream, is also coming up. We also have the Ace of Pentacles. That's what I always think of, this little one. It represents another new beginning for you, but more on a physical level. So it may be that the thing that you're heading towards is either a new job, or you may even be changing your physical appearance, because we do have the changing like your style charm. But I do think that you're shifting something on your physical level as well as on a mental level, and those two are very linked. We also do have these last 3 charms here of the silver lining. So changing up your style, changing up your space is going to be your silver lining as well, or changing your mindset as well, is what I just heard. So I really feel like your silver lining within this like crossing path situation that we have right here, where you have to cross that river or cross that path of traffic, because we do have that heart here of the hollow heart, which just reminds me more of this monster charm. So to change up your space, it's really important that you do so, because I think that it's going to help shift your mindset as well. So if your space, like I'm the type of person, if my space is feeling really cluttered and out of whack, then I'm going to feel mentally out of whack. So again, that's another link to how your physical space as well as your mental space, when worked together, is going to shift your mindset. So you have to work both in the physical as well as in your mind, and that's going to help shift your mindset to listen to your gut and really hear what it has to say. The last things we have here is thou shalt not kill. So this represents people trying to, not necessarily like actual kill, but it does represent people trying to like kill your vibe, trying to rain on your parade. And we've already kind of talked a lot on that. So your charms are definitely reflecting about the same things as the cards here, but mostly the biggest things that we're getting. Oh, and we also have the letter L here in case that represents anything for anyone. So we have L, 6, and 7, these 2 tabs. So people trying to keep tabs on you, a switch in your mindset from the physical space into your mental space, trusting your gut so that you can do that, and also to keep dreaming is showing up. So your charms are definitely representing very similar things to your cards. So with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys there for the next 2 weeks. Do let me know in the comments down below how this resonated for you, if you know who these people are, how you feel, if the images really hit you, if charms spoke to you in a very specific way. I'd love to hear your guys' personal thoughts and the way that you interacted with this reading down below. Also, please be sure to give this video a like if you really did like it. It helps this channel continue to grow and flourish, as well as this community, so I really do appreciate it so much. Also, if you would like to be able to support yourself as well as support me through these videos in another way, feel free to check out the different offerings I have on my Instagram, as well as the snail mail readings that I continue to do. I absolutely love doing them. I send a snail mail letter to you in the mail with a reading that is very heartfelt but honest, for your specific situation, for love, career, spiritual, fun, witchy stuff, whatever it is. We can definitely discuss it and see what you'd be interested in learning more about, beyond just this reading. And there's also fun handmade magical extras that I could send to you as well for different rituals and workings. So if that's something that interests you at all, feel free to check those out down below. And lastly, if you would like to join in on this beautiful community of kindred spirits and all the different magical and creative videos that I put out with these pick a card readings every single Monday, then feel free to subscribe and join on in on all the fun. And with all of that said, I will see you guys in the next one. Listen to your gut for sure. Bye, guys. Hello, Group 2! If you've decided to choose this piece of yellow Aventurine as well as this piece of a rune that is Sowilo, then this is the pile for you. Feel free to get settled, grab some water, grab a cup of tea, a cozy blanket, whatever makes you feel warm and cozy and ready for these next 2 weeks. Before I start talking about all the different supplies we'll be using here today and then little magical tools, I just thought I'd tell you a little bit more about this rune that I chose intuitively for your guys' pile. It may resonate just for a few of you or for all of you, but I did want to tell you a little bit about it. So we do have the sun here. Feel free to pause and check this out if you'd like. It's very similar to the Sun Tarot card, but slightly different. It is energy, fuel, power, manifestation, innocence, positivity, hope, driving force, and truth. It represents clarity on a winding path. It represents for like a really good full force type of energy and drive, a bit like the Chariot. So this has got a lot of energy behind it, a lot of power behind it, but also a lot of responsibility too. So here we are with the sun, and we're going to talk more about it as your reading goes on to see if it resonates with different parts of your cards and reading. But we also are going to use the charms for a charm cast today, as well as these watercolor affirmations. We're also going to be using 2 different oracle decks, which I'll have listed down in the description. And the tarot deck that we're going to be using is the Cosmic Slumber Tarot. So now that everyone is settled and ready to go, we're going to go ahead and get started on your next 2 weeks. Feel free to send your energy through time and space here now. So we're going to be looking in. So what do you have coming in these next 2 weeks? Group 2. The highest energy, how this Sowilo really matches into your group. So we have here the 7 of Pentacles. With this specific one, I always see like a backwards question mark, which just makes me think that you're like trying to figure something out. You're questioning something, you're asking questions, and this also has to do with waiting and patience. So we'll see how that comes in. So let's see what else you have coming in here. Group 2, your highest and greatest energies of the next 2 weeks. Group 2. What do we got? Okay. So we also have the 2 of Swords. This represents making a decision. So seeing as you're questioning something, I'm not too surprised that you guys are going to be making a decision or trying to carve a path forward for yourself. So now we have the 7 of Pentacles, and they're very similar figures as well. So we have the 7 of Pentacles and the 2 of Swords. Let's see your final tarot card message for the week, next 2 weeks actually, and we'll see what's coming in for you. Okay, so we also have here the 5 of Pentacles. So this reminds me a bit of Group 1 in the necessity kind of feeling with this 5 of Pentacles, but I definitely see it in a different way. I see it as like you're reaching for the sun, reaching for clarity. I definitely see the clarity element with this 5 of Pentacles, the 7 of Pentacles, and the 2 of Swords. So seeing as you have 2 Pentacle cards, that also does show a need for structure within your physical life, within your job, within how you're navigating your own personal needs, your finances, and all of that. So I'm going to go ahead and pull your oracle messages here. So we're going to look into the Sea Melodies message and see what these mermaids have for you for the next 2 weeks. Again, feel free to send your energy in. I always feel like a lot of people choose Group 2, so if you guys can send your energy, it always does help to make sure this is more clear for you. So Group 2. All right, here we are. We have direction, trust your inner compass and find your bearings. So like I said, you're making a decision. That's what I'm really getting, a decision, and you have to make it within these next 2 weeks, or that you're going to be starting to come to conclusions about these questions, about why you're asking why in the first place, you know? So we have the direction being present here. And then we're also going to pull you one from this Language of Flowers one. That one just flew out right away. We have 2 here, so we're going to see what showed up. So we have both awareness, and this one showed up face up. So this makes me think that you're going to be gaining clarity. So we have awareness, wake up, roll the clouds away, and look. Right? And then we also have here moth orchid, both of them white flowers, communication, listen and speak with greater care. So this is how you're communicating with yourself is what I'm getting here, but also the way that you're communicating with others around you about the direction that you're heading, and possibly that they may have some information for you on how you can, like it literally said, wake up and roll the clouds away. And we had those clouds showing up here, right? With the question mark. So I feel like you're, and the sun, that's Sowilo, right? The sun being hidden from you. So I really think for you, this isn't about power and drive. This is about clarity this week. So we're going to get your final card and then I'll talk even further. But yours definitely has being about clarity. I think it's funny that it definitely has a very clear message for you. So let's go ahead and get your final watercolor affirmation message. If you guys are interested to see how I personally made these myself with some art magic and some witchy vibes, then definitely check that out somewhere here on the screen. But we're going to use them today to see your affirmation. But do stay tuned later for the charm cast as well, where we're going to go deeper into your reading. So group two here. What clarity do we need for group 2 for the next 2 weeks? Lots of 2s, 2, 2, 2. Okay, interesting. So we have grow, evolve, and transform. So whatever kind of decision that you're trying to make is definitely for a transformative purpose. It's not always necessarily because it's like a necessity, like pile 1 kind of had. It's more like this is something you just really need to be able to expand yourself, to grow, to evolve, to move up, to level up, to just move to that next position, possibly too in a job or a career on a more physical plane, which maybe is where that communication comes in as well, being direct with what you want. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and start diving into your next 2 weeks. So right off the bat, the biggest thing that I'm seeing here is a need for clarity, a need for shifting your focus, but also to just realize that you're already doing the best that you can. So what I saw here first, when I just took a second to really look at your cards here, is we do have the 5 of Pentacles, and this can talk about, usually you have in this, it talks about financial loss, or it talks about feeling like you're going to lose your finances or lose that security of some sort of security blanket that you have. And in this case, you're reaching up for it, but you're stuck in the thick of it, right? You're stuck in the thick of all these weeds, and it's so hard to reach what you want because you're just in the thick of all of this. So I feel like for where this was placed in your pile, this may be where you are presently, or that you have this fear that this is what you're going to get out of the situation, right? Because we do have all these fields. This is something that you're trying to harvest, something you're trying to grow, something that you're trying to grow and transform into, your new direction. It's not clear because at the moment you're not seeing a lot coming out of it. Maybe you're not getting a lot of money. You're trying to reach and do things that maybe you don't feel so good about, or you're trying to impress people in a way so that you can get more of this reward that you're looking for. It may be money. It could also just be anything on a physical plane that you're just trying to manifest forward into the physical world, and you're not seeing results yet. But the thing is, when fields are growing like this, right, when you can't really see everything, they're still growing. They're just under the soil still. They're still in the thick of growing, right? So it's growing all around you, but you're not seeing it. You're just seeing what you want out of it, but it is growing all around you. So this is just sort of a reminder and just kind of a clarifier that the direction that you are taking is trying to communicate to you in some way these plants that you're trying to grow, these new opportunities that you're trying to grow for yourself, whatever this is, whatever your field is in this case, is growing. And it's trying to communicate to you that you are growing in it, but you're just not seeing it. That direction is just kind of lost on you, because we do have here the Two of Swords, and the Two of Swords, as you can see, they're kind of blindfolded, which again is making me think you're kind of blind to seeing it. You're seeing up in the clouds, you're asking questions, but you're not actually looking at what you're trying to grow. You're not actually looking at what's already growing around you. You're trying to reach for something that isn't there because you're already growing it. You know what I mean? It's like when someone's looking for their sunglasses, but their sunglasses are already on their head. That's what's happening right now. Your sunglasses are already on your head. You already have it. Or it's already in the midst of growing, and it's just taking some time and patience. I also thought this also could talk about needing to make a decision this week in the direction that you're taking, being aware of where you want to go. But again, with the Two of Swords, it talks about needing to trust yourself. Because the Two of Swords talks about the unknown, right? We have that new moon, the unknown. Nothing is clarified. It's like the sun is below the horizon. You can't see it. So in this case, you're questioning, you're doubting your decisions that you're making. And that's what I'm seeing here, is that you're just kind of doubting yourself, doubting your decisions, because it just hasn't manifested yet. And you're thinking, maybe I should go in a new direction. Maybe I should take a new path. Maybe I should reach for something else. But definitely look and take a second now and just really think, do I need to do that? Is it actually growing? Is it just under the surface or hidden behind a cloud that you can't see the power and potential that you already have here? So definitely believe that it's there and trust yourself. Trust that you already put the seeds in, that you fed them the water that they needed. You fertilized that land. That is growing, and you put in that effort. You did all the things that you can. And at this point, all you can do is wait. So while you're waiting, this is the time to allow yourself to just let it happen. Don't make any new steps. You can maybe make new decisions if you really think that there's this big decision that you need to make, possibly, because we do have that Two of Swords, so it could be something outside of the situation. But within what you're trying to grow, just leave it alone. Don't keep watering it. Don't keep hover momming over it. It's just going to put pressure on the thing that you're doing and make it harder for it to manifest. So just allow it the space. Allow it to have the space to grow, because you're already doing it, it's already happening. So with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and move on to your charms so we can see more information on your next 2 weeks, anything else coming in for you. So let's go ahead and do that. So group 2. Okay, so let's start looking here to see what we've got. So I'm going to zoom you in first so you can see me sort through these different charms here and really look through everything with you. But we do have a couple of different numbers. So we have the number 1 showing up, which can represent an ace, a new opportunity, or just it represents you, that first thing. Also the Magician. So I'm going to pick up the ones that fell upside down. We do have the Spirit of, I think it is Spirit of Courage. Let me look. Yeah, it says Spirit of Courage here. It's the Helen Keller quarter. Hopefully it'll show up for you guys here. But it does say Spirit of Courage there in the center. So I always think of this as being courageous, or having the idea that even though things may be stacked against you, it's still going to grow and manifest, like we were talking about before. But it also has to do with just that you're doubting yourself, doubting your own abilities, and that just because you are maybe, you don't have everything stacked in your favor, that things can't grow. But things can grow. She had tons of things stacked against her favor, but things still continue to grow with whatever she put her mind to. So stay committed. That's the other thing we have here at the major center point of your next 2 weeks, the heart of the next 2 weeks. We have the Commitment charm. This represents it can represent marriage and things like that, but it also represents just being committed to something, right? Committing yourself to the goal that you have in mind and staying focused on it. The other thing too, this does represent also like engagement, but not necessarily engagement in terms of like actually being engaged, although that may resonate for some of you. So see how these all personally resonate for you. But on just like a oracle sense, this can talk about being engaged in the conversations that you're having, because you do have the communication charm. I didn't arc charm, the communication card. So it did say here, listen and speak with greater care. So there is something about your communication coming up here and how you engage with a conversation. Are you listening? Are you really hearing people out? Are your doubts in your mind swarming around so much that you're not able to communicate them well? Or maybe it's just that you're not taking the time to listen to other people because you have so much like fogging your mind that you aren't aware of the conversations happening around you, aware of other things that other people are doing. Maybe someone's trying to talk to you and you're not really listening. So make sure to be committed to the conversations you're having, committed to the way that you're engaging in a space and the people around you, and being present. Like I said, stay present, because I think this kind of week you could get very clouded in your mind. And like I said, the sun is the center of your week. So if you get clouded in your mind, that just brings the rain, that just brings this fogginess to everything that you're doing. So making sure to keep that sun, that clarity, and being able to be really engaged and present and mindful of a situation in the way that you communicate is going to be really helpful, bringing peace of mind to not only your conversations, but yourself. The other things we have here is the sacral chakra, or the sacral energy center, and this represents needing to be more playful within these next 2 weeks, allowing yourself to play, allowing yourself to get creative, get a little like muddy in the dirt. And it also represents like fiery energy, especially since you have here next to that, this other little cluster here with the 1, we have a very gross looking birthday candle. So this can represent birthdays. This has been in here a little while, but it is a birthday candle. So this represents, firing something up, bringing up a flame. It's maybe small, but it is mighty. It's still growing, right? A small little candle, when put against kindling, can grow into a really big fire. So this is another thing saying like it's still growing, it's still, gaining strength. Whatever it is that you're trying to build, it's still flourishing. The other thing we have here is breaking the cycle charm, and then you have the key to someone's heart next to it. So we have here the number 1 in the center of it, and this is a cycle that's been going on and on and on. So we'll definitely take time to reflect on cycles, especially within possibly romance or within your friendships, and it's like needing to communicate and break a cycle. So there's something about needing to communicate with someone about something, and it's time to break a cycle, and really doing it for you, because it's something that you need to do, because we don't have any locks here, but we do have a key and peace of mind and courage. So if this is something to do with an actual wedding, I'm not saying to break it off with anyone. This is a collective reading, but that is sort of being presented here, that there's a commitment in your life that definitely needs greater care and more conversations to talk about cycles that aren't working anymore for you, and to break them so that it can be healthier as you move forward. The last charm that we have here is the busy charm, as well as the temporary charm. So you're going to have things that are going to feel really busy within the next 2 weeks. You may feel like things are happening slowly within like your work life or within what you're trying to harvest, but everything else around you may be happening really quickly, possibly because of that fogginess, that it just feels like everything's you're just walking through a fog. So when you have that awareness, that'll help, but also just in general, it's telling us that it's going to be temporary energy. It's not going to be staying forever. You're not going to feel this busy for long. So just continue to work through it. So with all of that said, group 2 here, I hope this was helpful and resonated for you. I am curious to see how this resonated on a deeper level for each of you. So definitely let me know if specific charms really hit you in a specific way. I always love to have those kinds of conversations with you. I may not reply right away, but I definitely love to read every single comment, and I love to see what you guys have to say. So definitely let me know in the comments down below how this resonated, as well as like this reading and this this video if you really did like it. It really helps this channel out so much, and I appreciate it so much, so thank you. And also, if you are interested in a private reading with me, so I can support you while you also support me, I do these snail mail readings that I absolutely love to do, and those of you who have been here for a while probably know a lot about them, but those of you who haven't heard about them, I actually type on my vintage typewriter from the 1970s a letter to you and actually send it through the mail to you. So it's a very treasured, beautiful letter that you can read. It's very long, very heartfelt, but also very honest on whatever you would like read into for love, career, spirituality, and so much more. And I also have the offerings of also receiving with that letter a small bundle of ritual items that you can use as well, with handmade spell paper and a sigil custom to you. So if any of that sounds good to you and it's something that you'd like to receive yourself, then feel free to check all the information down below. And also I've got a lot of wonderful reviews and more information on my Instagram community too, so definitely check that out as well. So the last thing I will say is, if you want to join in on this community even more, feel free to subscribe to see every reading that I put out every single Monday and interact with the other kindred spirits here. But with all of that said, I hope you guys find the decision that you need to make and start seeing the potential that you have all around you. So with all that said, I will see you in the next one. Bye. Hello group 3, if you've decided to choose this little piece of green Aventurine as well as this rune of Algiz, then this is the pile for you. Feel free to get settled, grab some tea, a cozy blanket, whatever really makes you feel settled and cozy for this reading. Feel free to do that now, because I want to talk quickly about the specific rune that you chose for your pile here today and give you a little bit more information on it and see how it resonates with the rest of the cards and charms that we pull later on. But this is kind of the heart of your reading. So we have here Algiz, and it always kind of looks like a tree to me, or like they say, an elk. So we have here Algiz, elk. Protection, standing up for a cause or a belief, feeling stubborn, advocacy, shielding your higher self, angels, and just sort of like reaching up towards spiritual energy. This talks about needing to reach up, a passive reaching up for energy, looking for guidance, but also being able to stand up for yourself, right? You can see it as a pitchfork, you could see it as a tree, you could see it as an elk. So definitely take time to see how this resonates for you and how that interacts with the rest of the reading. But I did want to start out with that here first. But we are going to be using the charms as well as the watercolor affirmations here today. We're also going to be using these 2 different oracle decks, which I'll have listed in the description down below, and then also the Cosmic Slumber Tarot. So let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, feel free to get settled, and also feel free to send your energy through time and space here so we can really start looking into the heart of your next 2 weeks, the highest energies and things to look out for. So here we are, group 3. Ooh. All right, so we have here the Queen of Swords. All of the groups have had something about swords really popping up. So there's a lot of mental energy, especially here, specifically, at least if you are watching this closer to when I upload it, but it may just be relevant to whoever's watching. But it is Virgo season, so there is a lot of, not necessarily the air element, because they are a earth element, but there is sort of an air element vibe to Virgo for me for whatever reason, not on the communicative side, but just like the way that they're so analytical. It really reminds me of that Queen of Swords. So let's go ahead and start diving into the rest. So here we are. This one was stubborn. So we also have the 8 of Pentacles. So you're trying to balance something, but you're also trying to almost like balance your workload is what I am seeing here, because the 8 of Pentacles talks a lot about workload. So there's something about balancing your workload within this Queen of Swords. So we're going to see your final element here as well. Wow, yours are just flying out. So we also have the Queen of Torches. So 2 different queens, a lot of more feminine energy possibly, or just the idea of these 2 very high figures that are presenting such a bold energy, because we have here the Queen of Torches, or the Queen of Wands here. alongside this Queen of Swords. We're going to see if these are people, if these are mindsets, or just different versions of you that you're balancing within your workload this week. So definitely see how those 3 different ways resonate for you as we head farther and deeper into this. But let's see more energy for your next 2 weeks. So group 3. What do we have coming in your workload for group 3? Like I said, this does represent like having to protect yourself, and seeing as we have both the Queen of Torches and the Queen of Swords, there's almost like a way of passive protection, almost like you're going about it in a less aggressive way, but you're protecting your energy, protecting your space. It's very sacred to you this month, or this week, these coming 2 weeks. I could say words, but here we are. Send your energy in group 3 here. Group 3. Okay. So we have here reflect, peer into the endless ocean and see what peers back. So reflection is on your mind. Maybe reflecting on old projects that you've been working on and how they can be influencing your current ones. Possibly reflecting on how these 2 different, like, more assertive energies are showing up here for you. We're going to see more of that here in a moment. So group 3, what else is coming in for you, group 3, within these next 2 weeks? Group 3. Ooh, here we are. So we have grounding. The beginning is where you need to be. So grounding energy, also a bit of like fiery sacral chakra is showing up here as well, more of that Queen of Torches. But there is something there about needing to ground your energy, making sure that it feels less elusive and out of control, like we had with that balancing act. So let's go in with your final card here with the watercolor affirmations, and we'll really start diving into your pile here even deeper. But do stay tuned later for the charm reading as well. So group 3 here. What affirmation do you need to hear for these next 2 weeks? Group 3. Ooh, you guys got a lot here. So I'm going to just see how they reflect for each of you. And definitely see which one resonates the most. But we have here, dive into the deep. We also have life keeps on turning. This one also reminds me a lot of the moon. Then we have let's try again, as well as exhale courage, inhale courage, exhale fear. So those are the 4 that you got. So there's something about, like I said, that fiery energy of courage, but moving past your fears, trying something again, even if it falls over, diving deeper. Life keeps on turning. So I feel like there's a lot happening within your week that there's a need to ground for sure. So let's go ahead and start diving deeper here, group 3. So right off the bat, we have, like I said, the Algiz energy of protection and reaching up. But I also thought of this as a tree. It makes me think that you're trying to grow some roots. But like you can see with the Algiz here, you don't see the roots present. You only see what is growing from the roots. So in this case, I think that you're seeing all the benefits of everything that you're doing, but I do see burnout on the horizon for you. So we have the 8 of Pentacles, and it does represent needing to work. It's not saying that you can't be working on the things that you're doing, but you need to ground that energy. You need to find better support for it, because right now it is just, when you are looking at it, you can hold it. But the moment you look away, it just keeps tumbling down, because there's not a good enough foundation to keep it running on its own, or to make it so that it keeps working on its own. So this makes me think that you need other people to help support it. So we have here the Queen of Swords and the Queen of Torches, 2 wonderful people to have in your corner. So this, like I said, can be different versions of you or other energies that you can start bringing to the table to help bring this support, but they can also be people in your life. So we have the Queen of Swords. She's very loving, but from a mental standpoint. So she has a lot of information. As you can see, she's got a lot of like blood on her clothes. So this talks about saying that she is very honest. She's very true. She doesn't hold back from anything. So she's great to have in your corner, because she's going to tell you the truth. She's going to be like, yo, you need a foundation. You need to do these sorts of things. She's great at organizing and communicating directly. Where having the Queen of Torches or the Queen of Wands in this case in your corner, she is more of the, I'm going to just make sure things get done because I have the motivation to get them done. I'm going to make sure that things get done because I have the passion to get things done. So there's a lot of passion, there's a lot of magic, there's a lot of fiery energy. She's very charismatic, or they're very charismatic to bring that forward. So there's a lot of energy of people in your corner that want to help create this new foundation of grounding for you. And I think it's important that you reflect back. Maybe there were past people who've helped you previously, and it's about reaching out to them, making sure they can help within this situation, or possibly reflecting back on why this isn't working. But there is something about reflection as well, that you're going to be reflecting. There's a lot of 777 energy here of just sort of needing to take a step back, because right now you're kind of just blinded by your work, that you're not able to see how it is affecting your health, how it is affecting basically all of those things, right? So we have dive into the deep and life keeps turning, and I put them both next to each other because it just felt like they went together. So with life keeps turning, it's making me think that life is going to keep turning. You can't stare at the work that you're doing 24/7. It's not saying that you don't have responsibility there. It's not saying that you can't continue to protect what you've worked on, but that you're diving so deeply, you have such tunnel vision to make sure that this happens, that you're going to burn out, because life is going to keep turning. And if you keep, only getting 3 hours of sleep, not getting enough water in your body, if you're not doing all these things, they have a cost. And so you have to make sure that even though you have all this determined energy, all this wonderful energy to put towards these projects, make sure other people can either help and work with you, or that you are able to create a foundation in which you can step away, that work doesn't have to continue to happen even when you need time off. So in this case, for some of you, that, like I said, it can be asking for help, and that could be a very easy, quick solution. But for others of you where you feel like maybe it's more of a one-person kind of project or one-person kind of thing that you're working on, and you can't really ask for help, that's important to reflect back to the beginning, right? Because we had reflect, and then we had the beginning is where you need to be. So go right back to the beginning. Where did you start with this project? Maybe what foundation did you not put in place? If that's working with other people, there's that path. Or maybe it's just that you needed to lay down better foundations in terms of your boundaries, making boundaries with yourself, telling yourself, hey, I can only work from this time to this time. And when I'm home, I am home. When I'm here, I am here, to make sure you're present in other ways in your life. Other times it could be, for some of you, to make boundaries with other people in your life, telling your boss that you can't work overtime this week, or that you can't do these sorts of things, or telling other people around you possibly that really rely on you as well, because these two people could flip to other people in your life as well, that you need to lay down some boundaries, lay down some foundations with these people and be like, okay, we're starting over because I can't keep working at this pace. I need to slow down. We do have that inhale, courage, exhale, fear. So if you feel like these people are, like I said, they are both very high up figures, that it's hard to maybe talk to them, asking them for help, or also just asking for these boundaries or these foundations, that it's important that you exhale, like literally if you want to right now, inhale that courage and exhale that fear, because it's just really what's holding you back from being able to just try again. The other thing, and I've had lots of conversations with people of trying again, let's try again. Sometimes I feel like begin again is even better with that beginning that's happening here. So the idea of I can just begin again. We have all these social structures telling us, hey, yeah, I've had a horrible day, so that means that my whole day is going to be horrible. Or we have all these social structures of deadlines and due dates that are telling us that we can't be this thing, that we can't begin again, that we can't restart and try again. But you always have the opportunity to restart, to go back to the beginning and try again. And this is definitely urging you to be able to try again or restart from the beginning to gain better structure for yourself this week. So with all of that said, I'm going to move on to your charms here, group 3. We're going to see what else is coming in for you for the week. You guys definitely have a more complicated week in terms of how the energy is presenting itself. But I think at the end of the day, it really just is protecting yourself, putting up those boundaries, and even boundaries against yourself that are holding you back from being able to rest. So let's see what else is coming in here. Group 3. Okay, not a lot of charms. Wow, it's so... Okay, anyway, you don't have a ton of charms showing up here. I'm going to move some of them forward so you can actually see here, but I'm going to zoom you in. Because like I said, you didn't get a ton of charms, but they're just telling a very similar message right away. We have the slow down turtle. This turtle is patient. This turtle is waiting its turn. And what it is facing here is the Canadian coin, which represents it has little leaves on it. So this makes me think of like turning a leaf, or it's not really showing up here, but it does represent turning a leaf, or there's seasons and things changing all around you, and that you're not seeing it until you slow down. So this is about slowing down for your health, slowing down and really being mindful of the things happening around you, or possibly taking a vacation, because for me personally, Canada would be a vacation to go to. So for you, it doesn't necessarily have to be Canada, but just generally that you are taking your own personal vacation from work, coming back to it stronger because you took that break. We also have the little pebble or the little rock here, so this represents grounding energy. And then we also have the universe charm. So this I always thought when I was a kid, whenever I looked at this little pebble that I've had forever, it always just looks like the universe. It looks like all this energy, and all like this to me looks like energy. It also looks like oil, but I don't know. I always saw this as like the big wide universe. Things are bigger than ourselves. Sometimes with tunnel vision, right? We stop seeing the flowers. We stop seeing the changing leaves. We stop seeing things that are happening all around us because we're so focused on our tiny little world, and you need to see the stars. You need to see the bigness of the world around you again, and connect back to it, because we do have here on the release moon the number 2, and that represents partnership, but it also can represent the fact that you need to release the idea that this is all that you can be, only the workaholic, that you can only be with these partnerships, or that you need to release the idea that you can't ask the universe for help, or ask those 2 other queens for help within this situation. And then the last 2 charms that we have here, I think it's interesting because we do have the fiery queen as well as the air queen, and then we have Taurus, which is a very different energy. The Taurus represents, it can be a workaholic. I personally am a Taurus. I like work. I like moving towards things. I like keeping my mind busy. But with the Taurus energy, it also does represent possibly someone in your life or yourself, and that you're feeling very rooted. Like I said, we're in Virgo season, which is another earth sign. So I just feel like you're wanting to stay rooted to something. You're wanting to ground back down and root back down to something, because I think it's just gotten a little too elusive for you. The last thing we have here right in the center of everything is the fantasy charm. This represents being more playful in your life, or, turning a pumpkin into a pumpkin carriage. This represents fairy tales. This represents being a little bit more like letting some fantasy back into your life, grounding back into that idea that you can have fun, new adventures. So this is a playful energy. This is what you're going to be inviting within these next 2 weeks. So when you're not working, or maybe to create a better foundation, is to allow yourself to dream a little bit bigger, or allow yourself to ground back down in the idea that you can play around with new fantasies, play around and get creative. So with all of those charms out of the way and everything that we've said, I hope that this has resonated for you, especially with the amount of different energies that we had coming in and the different queens. Do let me know how this resonated on a personal front for you in the comments down below. If you know who these queens are, if you see how this is resonating for you within your next 2 weeks, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Also, please be sure to give this video a like if you really did like it. It helps this channel grow so much, and I appreciate it so much. It's something very simple to do, but I do really thank you for it. And also, if you would like to support yourself even further with these types of readings that I do, as well as support me in the process, then I would love if you would check out the snail mail readings that I do. as I look into all different types of queries and questions on love, on career, on spirituality, on your own personal magic, manifestation, that kind of fun stuff. And I send these snail mail readings actually in the mail that I type up on my vintage typewriter, and they're very heartfelt but very honest as well as true and raw. So they definitely are heartfelt and honest. And then also I do send other things too with magical extras that I cook up with my own creative ideas for different rituals that you can do with sigils and handmade spell paper that is custom to you and each one. So if that's something that interests you, if that's something that you would like to see, then feel free to check out all of the different information that I have down below on it, as well as on my Instagram. And lastly, if you want to join in on this beautiful kindred spirit community, as well as the different Monday readings that I put out for love, career, spirituality, for weekly messages and monthly messages, then feel free to subscribe. And with all of that said, I hope you guys enjoyed and that you don't work your guys' self to the bone. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.